You're about to watch part 2 of how to make commercials. And I want to remind everyone that segment 1, as well as the forthcoming segments in this series, can be found for a limited time at Videomaker.com. To check it out, click on the link in the description below.
For more great content, go to Videomaker.com. 4 times the video. Articles, forums, reviews, and more. Videomaker.com.
Okay, you've made it this far. You've met with the client, toured the business, and have pages of notes. Now it's time to take all that information and conceptualize a great commercial. In this segment, we cover creating the concept, choosing a style of advertising, and pitching the idea to the client. Understanding these concepts will help you form a solid idea to get the go-ahead from your client. With all the information you've collected, it's entirely possible that you already came up with the perfect idea. And if that's the case, all you need to do is refine it and work on your pitch. But in most cases, you'll still have some work to do. Armed with your notes and knowledge, here's your mission: to pull a clear message out of the raw material you've got. Oftentimes, just getting started is the hardest part. So here are a few ways to get going. Take your client's idea and formulate it into a completed concept. Using their ideas as a seed can really help when it comes time for the approval process. Plus, many clients love telling their friends, "You know, this part was my idea." And it never hurts to stroke the ego of someone who may become a regular client. You can also try building your concept around the points that have to be in the commercial. If the client doesn't reveal these must-have points, then it's up to you to read between the lines and prioritize your information. If all else fails, don't be afraid to contact them again for some follow-up questions. If your notes don't reveal an obvious focus for the commercial, think about the visual possibilities you saw at the business. Some businesses look ready to shoot when you walk in, and that may help you define a commercial concept. For instance, furniture stores will usually have bedrooms, offices, and living rooms already set up, so simply incorporating these into a concept might be enough. But many other types of businesses might not have such obvious scenes, so you'll have to consider some alternatives to display the business in its best light. This can be very difficult. You might have to limit yourself to close-ups to avoid seeing clutter, or shoot on location for a service-based business. These limitations can actually help you figure out the best concept for the commercial. Use all the information you've gathered to decide what approach is the best way to sell the idea and best serve the client's needs. The best-looking commercial in the world isn't great if the message isn't targeted enough to be effective. This leads us into our next section: types of commercial advertising. Anyone watching TV has seen that there are different styles of commercials for different products, and different tones or moods for the demographics of the target customers. Let's use auto manufacturers as an example. Think about a full-size truck commercial. The truck will be driving through mud or hauling some type of equipment. The music will be driving, and the voiceover will generally be a male with a low voice that gives the impression that real men drive big trucks. Conversely, the minivan commercial may feature kids piling in after soccer practice. The music will often be subtle and whimsical. The voiceover will generally be a much more friendly, reassuring voice. Despite their differences, both of these approaches are considered to be passive advertising. They tell the recipient, "If you need us, we're here for you." They just use a different tone to push the message to the intended demographic. On the opposite end of the spectrum, think of the same car dealer's annual Labor Day sale. They're still selling cars and trucks, but you'll notice their approach is much different. The message is generally something to the effect of, "We have lots of inventory, don't miss out on the savings." The voice is high energy and it provides a sense of immediacy. This is known as aggressive or active advertising. The goal is to get people moving right away. It's a great approach for limited time offers and sales. Regardless of the style you prefer, each one has distinct advantages and intended results. Be sure to be subjective while you're choosing which style to use. Now, 2 different styles of advertising lead to 2 different types of commercials, as you may have noticed from the examples. The passive approach leads to an image or branding spot. The purpose of these spots is to keep a business's name fresh in the minds of the customer. Brands like Coca-Cola, Ford, and McDonald's excel at this type of advertising, and they help build a favorable public image of a company. The image spot takes advantage of passive advertising and is generally less invasive. For smaller businesses, this type of spot works great as an evergreen spot or one that can be used in any season. The benefit to the client is that it won't become outdated too quickly. Not to mention, it also gives you more opportunity to flex the creative muscles. An aggressive style targets your client's demographic with a direct response call. This means that the commercial will seek to get an immediate response from viewers. In advertising, this is also known as a call to action. Small businesses rely on these types of spots to promote sales or limited time offers. They typically have a shelf life of a few weeks to a couple of months and usually include specific dates, times, or events. Before we move on, let's review some of the concepts we've learned. Passive advertising uses branding or image spots. The purpose is to keep the business in the mind of the customer. If you need us, we're here for you and can be run for a much longer time. An active or aggressive advertising style typically results in direct response spots that contain a call to action. These spots work best for limited time offers and sales. So, you've defined your message and you've got a handle on the approach. Now comes pitching the idea to the client. Don't get intimidated. Even baseball players get 3 strikes when they're up to bat. When prepping for the pitch, try to have your thoughts completely worked out. You don't necessarily need a completed script, but don't walk in with just an off-the-cuff idea. The more vague your idea, the more likely the client will reject it. You should definitely have a script outline completed. Include some shot examples. What will the client see in the final commercial? State whether or not there will be someone talking on camera, maybe the business owner, a local actor, or a satisfied customer. If there's no one talking on camera, will there be a voiceover? And if so, what kind of tone will the voice have? The clearer the picture you can paint for the client, the more likely they'll be to go with your idea. Once you've agreed on the concept, you'll need to write the script. Be sure that your audio and video have an appropriate pace and a clear message. The more specific your script is, the easier the rest of the process will be, so take your time. Be prepared for the client to review and change your script before moving forward. It's all part of the process. Now you're well on your way to being the next commercial genius. But remember what Robert Louis Stevenson said. When I say writing, oh, believe me, it is rewriting that I have chiefly in mind. In our next segment, we talk about pre-production and show you how to break down your approved script to prepare for your big commercial shoot.